What's good, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. I told y'all I was gonna do this Q&A, so we get ready to jump right into it. Um, Before we get started, make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. Feel free to post comments down below, whether you agree or disagree, like or dislike. Feel free. I'm not in my feelings like that. As long as we keep it respectful, then I have no problem if you disagree with something I say. It's all good. Um, Real quick, during the course of this video, if you happen to see me just glancing over to this direction, or turning my head to this direction, I don't want y'all to think that I'm crazy. I'm watching the game. The playoffs is on, so I'm checking the scores here and there. So that would be the explanation why I keep doing this. We're gonna get right into it, man, with these questions and answers. A lot of people have responded and sent a lot of good questions in. So me being the old school dude that I am, I had to write it down. We still got a few that are on YouTube that are coming in. We'll get to as many as we can. We may not get to all of them, but we'll get to as many as we can. So let's go ahead and get started, man. Lux Cash, the homie Lux Cash, he asked, what does it mean to be real every day and deliver? Being real is just being who you are, finding out who you are, number one, and being yourself. You can look at other people and be inspired by what they do and their personality and persona and the energy that they give off, and you can incorporate elements of them into yourself, but you still have to be you. You still have to figure out how that relates to who you are and who the creator made you. Not trying to imitate someone else. So that's what being real is, expressing what you really think. If it's not itching, don't scratch. If it ain't funny, don't laugh. That's what being real is. If you have a problem with something that someone is doing or saying as it relates to you, don't be afraid to speak out on it. Because if you don't speak out on it, you will be the one who suffers from it. So that's what being real is. And delivering just comes from the standpoint of whatever your gift is, whatever the creator blessed you with to do, you max that out. You become you make it reach its fullest potential and be that gift to the world. Give that gift back. God gives it to you, you give it back to the people in a consistent manner. When you're consistent with it, you are actually delivering because now you become an individual that people can depend on. When you're looking for the mail every day, you know the mailman is coming because they've developed a consistency in their delivery process that for the most part, you know he's coming. Sometimes he's late with the check, but you know it's coming. So I hope I answered that question sufficient. The next question is from Twitter. Inertia Spinner asks, do you think monetary reality will ever trend on Twitter? And if I'm understanding the question right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're asking me at some point, will Twitter start to monetize or allow its users to monetize, then my answer would be, I don't know. I think that if they see a benefit for them to do that, then absolutely they would. But I'm not. I know that they're making money, as all these social media networks are making money. But the monetization, as it relates to the actual user, who knows? If they find a way for it to benefit them, then of course they'll do it. They're not gonna do it just to make you happy. But thanks for the question. Third question comes from, hope I say your name right, Sister Deangra Hayes. And she says, how do you maintain a music career in a healthy relationship? That's something that we all seek the answer to. I think that part of that comes from, hold on, I had to look at the score real quick. Part of that comes from if you are already in the business, if you're already in the music business, if that part of your life comes before you enter into the relationship, then once you enter into that relationship, you got to make sure that you explain to that person every aspect of what it is that you do. You have to make them know what they're going to see, what they're going to see you doing. Every component of it, whether it's taking pictures. If you're a guy, you know, ladies are going to want to come up and take pictures with you. How is she going to handle that? If you're a female, it may be guys that want to come up and take pictures. It may be guys that are looking at you in a provocative way. How is he going to handle that? These are things that have to be addressed with that individual or that potential partner coming in, so they'll know. And they have to be strong in how they handle and how they deal with that, because it can be a problem. And outside of that, there are other issues. That person has to be secure in themselves, because what if your success starts to grow? Then an insecurity starts to develop within your partner, because they may feel as though you're elevating and they're stagnated, or they may feel like at some point you're going to outgrow them and leave them behind. So I think the communication side, the initial communication, has to be the number one element in terms of combining those two and making sure that those two, the business and the relationship, can coexist. Does that guarantee success? No. But I think that the openness has to be there in order for it to have a chance. Otherwise, you're done. Brian Buckaloo asks, what time of the day do you feel you are most productive writing-wise? And do you practice techniques such as meditation or any other to help you get in the zone? And if so, do you feel like it helps you with creativity? Speaking for myself, Brian, the time of the day that I feel most productive and creative is late night. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. That's when I get it in, because I just create this sense among myself that I got the whole world to myself, because at 3, 4 in the morning, most people are asleep. It's quiet. You don't hear noise outside, no noise inside, and I can just fall into that mental pocket that I need to fall into and pull out all of the creative elements that I need. And that's always been my process. I've always been a late night type of person. So for me, other people may be different, but for me, that's how I do it. Now, as far as meditation and other techniques, not meditation. That's not something that I do. I've tried it before. Maybe I didn't push myself as hard as I should have, because I didn't feel like I got anything out of it. Maybe I was doing it wrong. I don't know. But I don't have any techniques that I use other than to thoroughly immerse myself in the topic before I write it. Just load up on the topic before I write it. And when I do that, I max out. I tend to max out more times than not. And it helps my creativity. David H. Alderetti, I hope I don't pronounce. I'm tearing your name up. David H. Alderetti asks, "Are you a vampire?" No, I'm not a vampire. And he says, "How old are you?" I'm 47, but I'm not a vampire. Even though I just said I stay up late, no, I'm not a vampire. Thank you. Azazel Aziz, how do you consistently deliver those amazing metaphors and wordplay in your song? And how can one achieve that godly level of lyricism? I'll answer the second part of that first. Achieving a godly level of lyricism comes from believing in a God that gives you that gift and that ability to do that in the first place. And when you receive that gift, you hone that gift. And what that means is you feed it. You don't just rest on the fact that you were born with the talent. You have to nurture that talent. You have to read, educate yourself, practice, trial and error, study, learn the history, And all of these things help you to get better and stack on to your talent. Those are the fundamentals that you stack on to your talent. Um, and that answers the first part of the question as well, because when you do those things and you stay in tune with what's going on around the world, then you are able to constantly keep delivering creative metaphors, creative concepts, because every minute of your life should be a song. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you should never ever have a shut off button. Even though you finish an album, or even though you finish a particular song or a verse or whatever the case may be, you still have to be focused on what's going on around you, because it's another song over here, it's another song over there. If you are observing your surroundings, some people just walk through life not paying attention. And that's why I'm able to keep coming up with stuff, because I'm always paying attention. I could look at a leaf falling from a tree and figure out a way to build something around that, when other people may just see it as, oh, the leaf just fell from the tree. Now, I've been doing this a long time, so does that mean that everything I say is just going to be off on some deep creative level? No, I mean, I hear stuff that I say a lot of times that is similar to something I said. Sometimes I say the same line over, and I didn't realize I did it till I put the album out. But those are very rare situations. I'm just being real. But for the most part, to go this long and still have a seemingly endless well of creative concepts, that comes from the fact that you are drawing from an infinite universe. If you look at it from that point, the universe is infinite. So the mind is infinite. So if the mind is infinite and it's a reflection of the infinite universe, just keep pulling, man. Keep pulling. So, my bad, that was long. Kyrie Muhammad asked, is there any deal that you came close to accepting? Like a record deal, I'm assuming. And yeah, it's been a couple. It's been a while, since I've been on my revolutionary walk path, which really been for a long time. I stopped getting offers for deals a long time ago, and I was good with that. But early on, when I was in my 20s, when I was a young cat coming up in the game, labels was hitting me up, and I've had a few deals on the table. But once they kind of got a feel of what I represent, and they said, "Oh, he rolls with Farrakhan. We're not going to sign him. We don't want you to sign this guy, or we're not going to sign you unless you change your subject matter." You start talking about, you back off that Farrakhan stuff, or that Muslim stuff, or you back off that revolutionary stuff, we'll sign you. No, sir, I'm not going to back off. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go harder now. So, yeah, that was a couple of times. And one time I actually did sign a contract back in '97. I signed with this record label out of DC, and it didn't go well, and I ended up getting out of the contract. So that's what happened with that. Few Twitter questions. Kyle Sayers, what up, Kyle? How much longer do you plan on releasing music? I'm gonna release music until y'all stop messing with me. Stevie Wonder's still making music and doing shows. The Rolling Stones still doing music and dropping shows and performing at shows. Bruce Springsteen, Prince, whoever you could think of, R.I.P. Prince. As long as the audience still has a acceptance of me, and there's still a demand for my music from y'all, the people, then I'll keep going. When y'all throw me away, then I'll stop. So, there we go. Cider Side from Twitter asks, how long have you been doing hip hop, and are you for real? I've been doing hip hop since 1983. So do the math on that. That's 35 years. 35 years in the game. Some of y'all wasn't even born. Y'all was swimming in the nutsack. But he said, "Are you for real?" I mean, if you do something for 35 years and you ain't for real, then something ain't right. So yeah, I like to think I am for real. This is what I do. I don't do anything else. So yes, sir. Low keg. When the can we collab? That's what he said. And do you still deal with racism like I do in 2018? I mean, we can collab whenever you're ready to collab, man. You know, this is a business, so get at me. And we'll chop the business and go from there if you're serious about chopping the business up. Do I still deal with racism? Absolutely. Even if there may not be instances where I've been directly hit with racism personally, even though I have in my life. I tell those stories here, and I may do some story times here and there. But you know, as a black man in the United States of America, speaking on that level, absolutely, that's racism that we deal with. A lot of people don't like to acknowledge it. A lot of people like to say it's not a race problem. It's a class problem. It's another kind. No, trust me. For people of color in this country, it's a race problem. So yes, sir, that is racism, and we deal with it on a daily basis, even if it's not individually for you as a people, we still deal with it. Now, this name, I want to get it right because I think this is a lady. It's L. Amar. If you put it together, it's like a black name. It's like Lamar, but it's L. Amar. And she asks, which books change your vision about life? It's a few of them. Most of the books are from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like Message to the Black Man, Our Savior Has Arrived, Theology of Time. But there are other books like the Quran, Dr. Wesley's book, Who is God? Hold on for a second. Let me glance at my book collection because I'm drawing a blank. Oh, How to Eat to Live by Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Hold on. Y'all hold up. I got a few books, man. I got so many books that I be forgetting. I want to do a shout out real quick. Y'all may not know. This is my homie. Hope y'all can see this. Alvando Ray. He wrote this book. This book just dropped. This book is actually about me. He wrote a book about me, and it's deep, man. The way he laid it out. It's not a biography. It's not like from a historical standpoint of just going through my life. It's a storyline, and it's called Rap by Design. So y'all support this book. Go online and pull up Alvando Ray and support my brother. But yeah, those are some of the books that I read that I like, and there are others. But because there's so much knowledge in just those handful of books that I read that cover all facets and aspects of life, that I don't have to just have an extensive list. But you asked. Thank you for your question. Oh, she has another part too. How do you know about the Illuminati like they're real? Once again, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I think that the whole Illuminati conversation has been distorted in a way because people are making it into, it's now more like a mythical type of thing now, to where the heavy conspiracy heads have kind of changed the narrative of it, if I'm saying that right. But there is an Illuminati presence that exists, but it may not exist on the level that's being promoted now, in terms of like everything is the Illuminati. Everything, oh man, he got 2 pieces of chicken and 4 biscuits. That's a 6. He Illuminati. You know, everybody makes everything into more than what it is. And I just think that at the end of the day, we have to be more realistic in our approach, and our research will reward our curiosity in a lot of times, and not be so over the top in our assessment. But is the Illuminati real? Absolutely. So there you have it. Are they knocking on people's doors, recruiting? No, that's not how they're doing it. So Dan Vixen from Twitter says, what album in your discography are you most proud of? Hard to say now, because I used to say Annihilation of the Evil Machine. Before that, I used to say Fear No Evil. It just changes over time, because as time passes, you record more music, you put out more work. And when I put out more work, you start to gain an affinity for the newer work that you put out. So I would say probably the big seven, the 7 albums that I released. I can't remember when it was, late 2016. I'm most proud of that, because I know how hard I worked to do it, and I know that I did it organically. I didn't cheat. I didn't use a bunch of stuff I had put up. Okay, I'm looking at the score. I didn't use a bunch of stuff that I had put up already, and I wrote it from scratch. So I'll probably have to say right now, the 7 albums, which y'all can get. Y'all can order any of my music from www.southparkcoalition.net. Quick commercial up in there. Or iTunes. Go on iTunes. My whole catalog is on iTunes too. Monica from Twitter asks, what music did you grow up listening to, and who are your musical influences? I grew up in an R&B household, listening to Stevie Wonder, the Isley Brothers, Frankie Beverly and Mays, Confunction, Parliament Funkadelic, Richard Pryor albums, sneaking listening to Richard Pryor albums, Prince, Michael Jackson, Jackson 5, anything Motown. I just grew up in an R&B household, and that type of music shaped me and prepared me for my rap career, because even though it was R&B, it was a totally different genre. The depth of the lyrics, when you listen to Al Green's writing, Smokey Robinson's writing, Stevie Wonder and Prince's writing, the writing, man, it's like poetry to a melody. And that really helped me as I started to write, because I always wanted to be deeper than the surface when I start writing. And I can think back, I can draw inspiration from those artists who were actually singers for helping me do that. Then when rap came along, there were rappers who helped me do that. So I would listen to Run and DMC and LL Cool J and Grandmaster Melly Mel and Curtis Blow. Just in the early days, those are the people that I listened to. And Tila Rock, man, all the way, don't get me started, man. All the way up to KRS-One, Rakim, Kane, just so many, man. I was influenced even into my adulthood. I was influenced, because now you got Scarface and Willie D and the Ghetto Boys and so many great artists, man. Too Short, Ice-T, the list goes on and on. So I am not a product of myself. I'm a product first of God, and secondly of all of the artists that came before me that helped to shape my creative process. And that's how the cycle of life and the cycle of music works. No one starts off just having it all figured out. Everybody was inspired by somebody. Truthseeker. What's up, Truthseeker? From Twitter asks, could you talk about the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia? Well, that's a long, so that's a whole nother topic in itself. For people who don't know, the Khazarians are a group of Jewish people. They were actually Europeans who converted to Judaism because they were on the fence in terms of what religion are you going to practice. The Muslims were putting pressure on them. The Christians were putting pressure on them. So to not offend either side, they chose Judaism. Eventually, they spread out through Europe, rose to power. The Rothschilds are products of that. And they run the world, plain and simple. And they don't run the world righteously. So you would have to just do your own research to kind of to get into the details of that. But yeah, it's a wicked group of individuals, trust and believe, and that's why they call it Khazarian Mafia. All the way from the world bankers to basically benefiting from war, and they play both sides of war, and they win, they eat on both sides. So yeah, we know what's up. Got another question. Miguel R. I think this is a Facebook question. The top 5 books you recommend. I think we already went over that. I would say Message to the Black Man, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, books 1 and 2, How to Eat to Live, Our Savior Has Arrived, my homie, Alvando Ray, Rap by Design, Forward by your big brother K-Rino, shameless plug. Hold on, I got another book. Brother Warren Muhammad, he just dropped a book called A Case for Separation. And I know what y'all think, man, he mentioned all these Muslim books. Nah, look, first of all, Alvando Ray is a devout Christian brother. Born again Christian. Don't get caught up in labels, y'all. Just, if it's real, it's real. Don't worry about who wrote it or who said it. Worry about if what was being said is the truth or not. We got to get out of that. Let me go to YouTube real quick before we wrap this up. I appreciate y'all too, man, because I got love for y'all, man. I ain't gonna lie. Want to holler at your homie. Let me see. I'll start from the bottom and then come all the way up. Y'all be patient. Be patient with me. Jeremy Scorpio on YouTube, he said, could you please one day do a backstory on the sorcerer in the events that led up to the sorcerer's den? I always assumed the sorcerer was your assistant from Annihilation of the Evil Machine. Okay. No, the sorcerer was not my assistant from Annihilation of the Evil Machine. But what a backstory is for people who don't know. That's like if you watch a movie and that movie is in it, you see that movie as constituted in the current time, but then they'll come back maybe years later and go back to when the main character might have been a little boy. That's the backstory. Hold on, y'all. Landline ringing. That's the backstory. So, I mean, that's a good idea. I might do that one day because I shut down the whole Sorcerer saga and I was like, you know what? I'm done. No more Sorcerer, because I felt like I had exhausted the storyline, and if you keep going too long, it gets corny. But if a backstory could open it back up, then, who knows? I might do that. I might do that. Let me see something real quick. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Just trying not to be interrupted real quick. Okay, next question. Somebody said, hello, nice to see you. Oh, they weren't talking to me. Where can I get some merchandise with your name, man? I look at SPC homepage, but I can't find any shirts with it. I had shirts, man. I had shirts all last year, and y'all was not messing with me on them shirts, man.